Welcome to Inside the Gaming Lounge. I am Marcus Blake, joined with our squad leader, Mr. K. Scott Cooper.
What is the Haps, gang?
And Mr. Chad Womack in his purple haze.
Good to see everybody.
All right. So this is a special editorial edition of Inside the Gaming Lounge. It's that time of year where we start talking about our favorite games of 2020 and start figuring out what is going to be our game of the year. So the three of us are going to make a case of what we feel like is game of the year. We're not saying it is yet. You're going to have to wait till everybody votes to see if it turns out. But what we are talking about is Ghost of Tsushima, a game that we feel hasn't been talked about as much, or has been a little underrated compared to other award shows and outlets praising other games. And well, we generally think they're mostly wrong and we're right because, well, we are right. And we're going to tell you, yeah. I don't necessarily like always calling out the Game Awards, which happens at the beginning of December, but we feel like they often get it wrong. And they did this year. But we're going to jump in and we're going to talk about Ghost of Tsushima. And we're going to tell you why. All right, so first thing for me, I absolutely love the story. It was crisp and clear, and graphics were great. But since I am one of the ones who got a PlayStation 5, I immediately noticed how the graphics got beefed up and how everything was even a little bit more smooth playing it on a PlayStation 5. So that, especially the multiplayer mode and the survival missions, just thought it was fantastic. And I've been trying to tell people, if you've gotten a PlayStation 5 and you're looking for game deals or whatever, you've got to get this game, okay? Call of Duty is not the game you need. I sure get your Assassin's Creed Valhalla, whatever, but you need this game on your PlayStation. I call you out as a gamer if you do not have this game on your PlayStation. If I like adventure stories, I like RPG games, and you don't have this, sorry. Maybe you really aren't one. But anyway, we're just saying.
We're not judging you outwardly, but we are judging you.
Yeah, each to their own, but let's put things into perspective. But all I'm saying is this game was already gorgeous to begin with. PlayStation 5 made it better. And it's one of those games where you will probably want to go and play again because of the multiple storylines that you can have based on your choices. That was my first impression with the new console, beyond anything, when it happened. I also want to say this was the perfect game to be released during the summer. We have talked about this over the years about when games get released. More and more should get released during the summer when school kids are out, because this is a game, especially if you're in Texas where it's just fucking hot. This is the perfect time when not a lot is going on that you want to put your hours in on a game. And you're not trying to play 3 or 4 different games that are huge open worlds that all come out at the same time, like around Christmas. So my initial impressions. Scott, you were the first one to finish this game first. As soon as you got your copy, I'm gonna hand it over to you. Tell us why you love Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh man. So for me, and I'm on a first gen PS4, and my old girl's had some hours on her, and I just want to say that even with that being said, this game did not cause me problems, which is great. So I want to give Sucker Punch a huge shout out for that. They did a great job, because this game does not feel rushed. It didn't feel at all like they were scrambling at the last minute to finish it. And I feel that all the fixes that they brought out update wise were to just fine tune it, just to just knock off any rough spots or anything else like that. And so I give a huge gold star to Sucker Punch, and I don't do that, So
usually there's curse words that follow when you're talking about a gaming developer.
Oh no. And or what the fuck are you doing? You didn't think about any of this shit. No.
Here's my resume. Let me fix this shit.
Yeah, let me fix your fucking problem. You can't unfuck yourself. I will unfuck you. But no, this game is great. It's it's an open world, but it's an open world in kind of the right size. Just when you start thinking that, like, oh, I've kind of seen and done everything in this one little spot, oh, you can't possibly introduce me to anything else. Surprise, you're in Act 2 now, and it's a completely different fucking ballgame. It's great. It's awesome. It's in depth. The storyline is very, very, very akin to a Kurosawa.
Right.
You know, and that's because the devs were influenced by Kurosawa.
Clearly, very clearly they were.
Well, and it should be noted, I mean, we've never had a samurai game, a samurai open world game like this before. I mean, we've had samurai type games, hack and slash, different things that are fun, but not much with such a, a good story that, with multiple endings and stuff that, again, will make you want to go play this again.
Yeah, and some people will argue that some of the older games, like The Way of the Samurai and those different ones and stuff like that, are a little bit more to the nods of the hat to Kurosawa and that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to argue against those games because those games also are honored in their own little nods here and there in this game. So, I kind of really got to give them credit on that. You can tell that the research and effort was done in this game. And the reason I know that is because, well, everything is about 200 years off. But there's a reason for that. Because this game looks and feels like it's set in the Edo period. It's not. It's that happens 200 years after this.
Right.
But the reason why that's not done in this game is because during that time, it kind of feels like Japan wasn't Japan yet. Everybody was still kind of all mixed in and this, that, and the other. And that wasn't the point of the game, and the game doesn't have anything in it that it doesn't need. There's no needless love affairs or sex scenes or anything else like that. There's no, baseless nudity. There's no, there's just no nonchalant, stupid shit in here that doesn't need to be in here. I mean, it's bare bones, fundamentally sound, but still has so much meat on the damn thing, you can't get it all in one.
Right.
And I love that. And I think it's great how one of the updates that they brought out allowed you to go to do a new game plus mode, which allows you to go through, play the game again with everything you've already unlocked from your original point of gameplay. So in the first go through, you're getting this very in-depth, very, story being told to you that, talks about the duality of man and, decision making and everything else like that, and all of its lovely historical inaccuracies that I'm not going to bitch and moan about. But no, and it transitions really well and continues in that format, but you're not getting any of this overly fast-paced, adding fluid and color just to appease people, shock value horseshit.
This is what kind of makes me not want to see the movie, because I feel like I've played the better story in all four of these games, and you're just never going to be able to capture that. Yeah. Even trying to, have a prequel, which I'm like, I feel like the prequel version of, 3, which is probably going to be better, but you add everything that you wanted in a story, and the cutscenes as a movie are great. So, and there are those are games too where your choices determine, how that story ends. So,
and I think that's the one thing with this game that because I know in some games they don't tell you about that, and the games that have like 9 different endings depending on what you do, I hate that. I'm sorry, that's a little too much for me, Yeah. But with this game, it was hey, do it the way you want to do it. we're kind of going this
Right.
way. You can go this way if you want, but these are your options. And if you
Right.
decide that you don't want to go with the main way, that's cool. This is your answer. I
Yeah.
like
And,
you've given me options, but not so many. I feel like I'm being fucking drowned by them.
but that's why you go back and play games. And there are certain games that we will go back and play. I mean, if you've played a huge open world Assassin's Creed game, which they're always fun to kind of go back and do, and I know that we've all done that to a point, you can choose what missions you do first, how you do things, which chooses the story of your character. Elder Scrolls, another great example. So I feel like with this game, everything they nailed it. It's about as much of a perfect 10 of a video game as you can get. It isn't quite a perfect 10 because we've never had a game that we've literally just said that's what this is.
It's never a perfect 10, but this one's going to rate high for me. I mean, at first I kind of hated the whole thing of like the haiku and the sulfur bath, hot springs and stuff. I kind of hated that, but then I actually noticed, that I found those steps to be incredibly calming. And so because exactly. So I remember just being so frustrated, just constantly with the fact that like you would do something and it would kind of go wrong or whatever. And it was like, okay, fine. It didn't happen the way I perfectly wanted it to happen. Fuck me. That's just the world. But then you find these beautiful moments where it's like, hey, we're going to give you these different options of haiku. It's not like you have to sit here and completely think of a new one, but these different things, you can make a real haiku. And, there's no same way of doing it every time. So you can do it the same way every time, but you don't have to. And for me, that's
kind of
great.
like real life human choices.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I don't know about Chad, but there was just one moment where I'm not joking. I was so fed up with this fucking outpost that was giving me hell that like I saw the little haiku place that was actually right near it. And I was like, you know what? Fine. I'm just going to fucking sit here and I'm just going to do this fucking haiku for a minute. And I did the haiku and I felt really good afterwards. And then I went and I slaughtered the fuck out of those numbers because it worked.
You found your center and then you went and delivered justice. Yeah.
I found my center and I gutted those fuckers like it was going out of style.
Right. Done that. For the code.
Yeah. You talk about how we didn't really know about this game in the beginning, and it wasn't. I think it was a combination of the pandemic, but I also think Sucker Punch just kind of like threw it out there. I feel like this is a game that they wanted gamers to discover. It's like you didn't. You may not know about it when it first came out, but it's going to get rolled up into things that you should, especially if you're a PlayStation gamer. And again, I praise them for releasing it at the right time. But I'll also go back and reiterate that I think it got caught up with having come out right after The Last of Us Part 2, which a lot of people were still playing. But I just don't see any other story that has come out this year that matches all the emotion, gameplay, not having to deal with so many bugs that this one has.
I don't think that was a Sucker Punch decision to release this game when they did. I think that was a Sony decision because
that could be.
Because honestly, if you ask me, and I'm not trying to jump the gun on anything about this, I feel that the Last of Us should have been the game that was released with the new console.
Right.
You know, with the PS5, fine. If you want to start, you know, your new generations of console, why not start it with a continuation of a game that pretty much kept PS4 alive? You
Yeah.
know, but who the fuck am I? No, but I honestly feel the reason why a lot of the hype for this game wasn't put out there was PlayStation. I feel that they wanted to hype The Last of Us
Yeah.
more than they, because as we've talked on the side, they wanted the continuation of this game, you know, to be big and hypey and everything else.
If it was
Well,
approved,
one of the staples.
IP.
Yeah, one of the staples of their franchises, and I get that. And you know, Naughty Dog puts out fantastic games. They're one of the best gaming developers out there. But at the same time, not everything you put out is going to be an instant hit. So, I mean, it's not like all the Uncharted games could be on par with Uncharted 2. Okay, which we all pretty much, most people agree is the best one. But and this could just been a misstep by Stony, like you said, and that's what, fine, whatever. But I talked to so many people who are like, wait a minute, what is this? Or they discovered it, or especially when they started doing deals during the holidays. And I would just tell people, it's like, look, especially if it was on sale for a while for like $30, or when it was cheap at GameStop, get yourself a copy. Even if you don't start it, you need to have this game because you're going to fall in love with it once you do. And
I personally, I didn't buy the digital deluxe upgraded version of it because I didn't honestly at the time feel like it was a need for me. But
right.
Going back and playing the game all the way through in the original one, I went ahead and upgraded to the digital deluxe edition, not because I felt like it was going to improve or enhance my gameplay, but because I wanted to give Sucker Punch that extra. They deserve it. They did a great job. And I know with a lot of games, whenever they offer the digital deluxe whatever stuff or that they add it to, the content is normally crap and you don't want to use it at all because it just doesn't work or whatever. But with the way that they do this game and the aesthetics and everything like it actually looked neat. I mean, it didn't cater to me. It wasn't something that I enjoyed, but I could definitely see how other people would really think it was fucking cool and awesome. And for me, it made it worth the extra $10, $15 to, put that money in their pocket, because I'd rather give you money for a job well done. Please keep up the good work than give you money and then go, okay, no, if I really want to get anything good out of this, I've got to buy the digital deluxe edition or whatever, like Call Fucking Duty does. And, to get anything out of it. No. This was for me, like, you guys did a great job. You did fucking amazing. I think you did great. I am going to go ahead and upsize my meal this time. I'll have the Big Mac,
Well, and just for everybody out there, this was the highest rated game for us this year. We have not had any games that have been rated a 9 or above, which this was pretty much a 9 across the board, borderline on a perfect 10. Yep. And that says a lot. I mean, we've had some contentious debates over the years about what should be game of the year. And I mean, again, I'll never forget 2017, where I ended up being the deciding vote on Horizon Zero Dawn versus Breath of the Wild. But
I remember that year.
Yeah. I still got a few people that are no longer with us that are still, you were just absolutely wrong. I'm like, yeah, well, whatever. I'll always treat a new game with new content over a sequel any day. But God of War 4 was pretty much across the board. We were just like, there wasn't anything that year that really came out that captured everything that we've talked about with this game. Great gameplay, the emotional story from a character that we all love. So, all right, I will say one final thing about this, and then we're going to move on for another editorial. Just for shits and giggles, I think you can release one more mode in Ghost of Tsushima, and that mode would be the lightsaber mode. I think you should make all the lightsaber and just roll through it if you want to. I'm just saying, just for shits and giggles.